Our final program of the day is the Stanford Cardinal. The Cardinal are led by Clark and Elizabeth Nelson, Director of Baseball David Esker in his 8th season. Coach Esker is joined today by junior right-handed pitcher Matt Scott and junior infielder Jimmy Nadeye. The Cardinal went 22-33 last year and finished 8th in the Pac-12 conference. Coach Esker, if you want to start us off with an opening statement about your team and the fall leading up to 2025.
Yeah, like everybody, we've got the preseason optimism of a new year starting, but we're generally excited about this year's club. We return almost every inning of pitching from a year ago, and we lost a couple field players, but returned almost all our at bats as well. And that, in addition to some arms that have come back to health and back to us this year, in addition with a really a great freshman class that we're really excited about. So excited about this year. I thought last year was, going into the year, we knew it was going to be an investment in time and an experience with a group that was virtually almost everyone was untested without a whole lot of game time experience. But we not unexpected on my behalf in the sense that we lost 9 players to the draft. We lost a couple kids to the portal. It was just a lot to replace. And at the end of the year, I thought that our tournament showing was more indicative of the type of team we could put together and kind of the excitement that we are building upon this year. Obviously, with Matt Scott, who's on the call, being our Friday starter, and Jimmy Nadeye will be a main member of our infield and middle of our order lineup. With some pretty exciting additions. And I know everyone's excited about the addition of Rentaro Sasaki to our batting order, but around him, it's, Charlie Som is back as a senior and has just looked fantastic and will take over the reins for Malcolm Moore. Probably my most difficult assignment is how to configure an infield with about 5 or 6 shortstops in the program that we have running around and what's going to give us our best defense. But Trevor Haskins is back, who played shortstop from a year ago. Timo Becerra finished the year at shortstop 2 years ago for us. Charlie Bates is an exciting freshman, and then obviously Jimmy Nadeye figures in that mix to play on the infield for us, coming over from first base last year. But some exciting freshmen names like J.J. Moran, who's a good-looking third baseman, corner infielder. Tatum Marsh, who's an outfielder, who's going to make it real difficult to not play as a freshman. And again, returning outfielders like Court McDonald, who was our leading hitter from a year ago. Brady Reynolds, who got a majority, and if not most of the time last year in right field. We look to be improved at a number of positions. But also with some freshmen pushing for time. And if they fight their way in the lineup or some new names fight their way in the lineup, that's going to be good for us because that means they've won the job over somebody who's got experience and has some talent. So I think the competition within the program is pretty high. And whatever lineup we start off the season with, I think waiting in the wings is some pretty quality players that will keep pushing for playing time.
All right, we'll open it up for questions for Coach Esker and our student athletes. We'll start with Brian Davis. Go ahead, Brian.
Hey, Dave. Yeah, but so now it's the ACC's the new conference. How you guys going to prepare for ACC play this year? Going to be a lot of road trips across the east of the Mississippi. Same thing like Cal Berkeley. And how you guys going to prepare? I know there've been some history between Stanford and Florida State. In Miami, of course, they're not. I don't think they'll play Miami this year, but the Stanford and Florida State, they've had some iconic games. I think it was in the '99 College World Series where Stanford was in the winners bracket and Florida State had to beat you guys twice to get to the champion, or Stanford had to win one of two against Florida State to get to the championship finals to play Miami for the national championship, and then you guys also played Florida State in the Super Regionals and played back when Mark Marquez was head coach, was playing them in non-conference games early in the year. What are your thoughts now transitioning from the Pacific 12 Conference to the Atlantic Coast Conference?
Well, we're embracing it. It's going to be a huge challenge. What I tell my team, it's like It's like traveling to a road super regional every weekend, right? I mean, every road series is going to be kind of super regional quality. And if we get to that point in the season, we're going to be well prepared. But yeah, on the road playing the likes of Boston College, Clemson, Virginia, North Carolina State, and then in addition, the conference tournament, we're going to be well versed on how to play quality competition on the road, and that will serve us well. And if we get to our ultimate goal of getting to the playoffs, and then a super regional, and then ultimately, if you get to Omaha, you're going to be playing quality teams away from your home park. That being said, there's going to be some interesting matchups right here at Sunken Diamond that no one has seen before. Stanford versus Notre Dame, Stanford versus Duke, Georgia Tech, Wake Forest. Those are matchups that you don't normally see at Sunken Diamond, but those are going to happen this year, for real. And it's an extremely competitive conference, and so we're looking forward to it. It'll prepare us if we make it through the gauntlet and get to postseason play. I think we're going to be prepared for that. But we've known that, in our lifestyle for the last, forever. The Pac-12 or the six pack or the Pac-10, whatever conference it was going to prepare you for postseason play. So it's a little different with the amount of miles that we're going to travel to play, but it's something that we've got to embrace. There's no room for complaining or bemoaning the fact that there's some travel involved. We're going to be ready. We're going to be ready to play high level competition at the next level, if we do our job and win enough ball games to get to postseason play.
Our next question will come from Steve Kroner. Go ahead, Steve.
Dave, how you doing?
Good, Steve.
Hey, this is kind of a follow-up on what Brian just asked you, and I asked a similar question to Mike about an hour ago. What do you think is the bigger challenge, the travel or the depth and the level of talent in the ACC?
Well, one is it's kind of uncharted territory, right? I think all of us, Mike and myself and Cal and Stanford, we're not averse to making one trip, at a distance to play some good competition. We're both staring 5 trips at a distance to play some good competition, and that you don't know, and we're making accommodations too. We're going to do our best, which is a challenge. We're leaving a day earlier than we normally would on a road trip. We leave on a Wednesday instead of a Thursday. So there's some challenges that are there that we're going to try to do our best, that we're ready physically, come game one. It does make it a challenge academically with some of our students in the month of May, but that's what that's what we've signed up for. That's something that going to a new conference has brought with it, and we're just going to have to adapt. And our kids are resilient, and they've done a great job. And our kids always do a great job in the classroom, so it's going to be a challenge and something that we're going to have to probably afford for on the road with maybe some little extra study time possibly. And but yeah, the travel is going to be new ventured waters for us. And but the competition is stiff, right? I mean, it's a 16 team quality conference, and then you put a tournament at the end of the season. In addition to that, it's going to be a big challenge.
Who's one or two guys? I think you sort of mentioned it in your intro, but I'll have to follow it. I mean, that maybe Stanford fans don't know of, either guys who are freshmen coming in or haven't gotten a lot of playing time in the last year or two, who come the middle of April, they know who those guys will be.
Well, I think they've been the players that possibly been waiting in the wings themselves for an opportunity. Charlie Som, who's been the catcher behind Malcolm Moore for the last couple of years, but last year he stepped out and became our designated hitter and was sitting right in the middle of the order. But it's his job behind the plate now, and he's the one who's going to be, since our pitching is going to be such an important part of our team, he's going to have a hand in it both offensively and defensively. His ability to handle our staff is going to be a huge part of our performance. So I'm looking for Charlie to come out and play like a senior and play with, have his best season. And then, again, the shortstops that we're going to probably try to run out there, whether it's Jimmy Nadai or Charlie Bates, who's a young freshman from Palo Alto High School, has just got a lot of talent, is an exciting player. but Timo Becerra and Trevor Haskins, those will be cornerstones. And then obviously Rintaro Sasaki, right?
Yeah.
He enters our lineup, and I know a lot of people, expect him to probably jump out there and be dropped on a college baseball's diamond and hit immediate success. But, I do warn everyone, it's difficult to be a good freshman. It really is. I mean, it's hard to it's hard to find your way immediately on the diamond. I think we feel confident if anyone can, he can. But that being said, we've had first rounders, whether it's the Nico Horners or Tommy Troys of the world who have left this place, future major leaguers and first round draft choice. And their journeys don't always start on that on immediate, ascent to stardom. Sometimes it's a journey that sometimes there's some adversity there, and there's a learning process, a learning curve, and then they get to their ultimate destination, which is just tremendous performance because of their talent.
Fair enough. Good talking to you, David.
We'll go to Ben Parker. Go ahead, Ben.
Hey, David. Hope you're doing well.
Hey, Ben.
Seeing you. Nice seeing you. I just kind of want to get your thoughts on the bullpen and how do you feel that particular aspect of your team is shaping up for this year?
Yeah, excited about both sides of the pitching staff. One is the starters, right? And it starts with Matt Scott, Christian Lim, and Joey Volchko, who which Joey's probably the newer member of that starting rotation. But last year Joey beat Oregon State in the conference tournament, which was a big outing, and I think that's when we really found out that maybe better suited to starting and getting the ball to start instead of maybe at the end of the game, which we all felt like, God, Joey with a 97, 98 mile an hour fastball, you stick that guy and get 3 outs. But he showed to be very well matched to being a starting pitcher. We play a number of 4-game series early on in the year, and I'd like to be able to develop 4 starters and then probably develop some roles and see the best three that can come from that. Freshman Parker Warner has showed very well during our scrimmages. So that's another name that you may hear out there. The bullpen and the back end of the pen, I'm kind of excited about. We've got some options. I think we're going to find out who's best suited to get the last 3 outs or even the last out. But we got some arm strength in the back end of the bullpen. Aiden Keenan, who firstly was not available to us a year ago, but may have been our best freshman last fall leading into the season. Got sick right at Christmas, lost about 15 pounds, never really got back to strength, but he's back at full strength. Torrin O'Haron had finished some games for us as well. Ty Huber was not available for us at all last year. He's come back and he's throwing the ball extremely well. Trevor Moore, that's another name. Trevor Moore was the reliever of the year at Cape Cod this past summer. So, between those 4 names, I think we're going to find 3 outs if we have a lead at the end of the game, I'm hoping. But then, in and around that, if they don't end up finishing the game, is it someone who can help us shorten the game? Is it someone we can get there into the 7th inning and then go 7, 8, 9 and hopefully take a little bit of pressure off our starting pitchers? If they can get us through 6 with the lead, maybe we can piece that thing together with some of those names. But in and around that, there's been some other pitchers that have a chance to pitch in the middle that's very competitive. Ryan Speciak, who trial by fire, baptism by fire a year ago, had 17 appearances in a year that maybe in a normal year would have had very few. But he's come back better than ever. Ben Reimers is another name with a ton of appearances a year ago. Not a lot of success, but a lot of experience, having gone through it. Cassius Thomas is another, 94 to 96 mile an hour arm that I feel like he can get 3 outs if needed at some point. Cohen Gomez, another freshman who probably battle for some middle relief and relief innings. So I'm pretty excited about the number of choices we have, and I think that competition will just make us better. And I think when we start to figure out some of these roles with some of these challenging weekends as the season starts, whether it's the 4 games at Fullerton, 4 games versus Washington over 4 days, 4 games in 3 days versus Xavier, I think it'll push me to use some names and see if some of these pitchers who can help us out during an ACC weekend in a very challenging conference.
And then just quickly for the players, if we could just talk about what areas of your game you guys are most focusing on and to improve for this year.
Well, I think for us a year ago, the challenge with inexperience is, how you compete on Friday and Saturday night against a bona fide Friday night starter, Saturday second best guy, right? I think that's where our inexperience kind of shows up, right? When you get a guy at second base or third base, runner in scoring position, now the guy's going to pitch you a little different. He's going to maybe lean on his breaking pitch a little bit or try to pitch you backwards, more challenging sequences. I think that's where the growth of our team is going to be. How do we compete against that Friday, Saturday night stud, and how do we score enough runs and defend well enough to support our Friday night and Saturday night pitcher? I think in both those areas we weren't as good as we'd like to be, just with inexperience and youth and just growth a year ago. I think we're going to be better defensively. I think our pitching staff's going to be stronger. And I think when we put runners at second and third, I think we're going to be able to come up with a clutch hit more often than we did a year ago.
Same question for Matt and Jimmy. What have you guys been working on over the fall heading into this season?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing I've been working on is just really raising the floor on my third and fourth pitch, being able to throw all four pitches to lefties and righties, kind of mix up the splits a little bit. I mean, last year I was heavy fastball slider, so the main goal was to really, improve those, the third and fourth weapon to kind of be able to get through the lineup two or three times.
Yeah, for me, I think a big thing, just the mental game. I think that's a part of my game that I'm always trying to improve on. I think in the fall, I try to do a very good job of that, find a routine, and then just try and step into that role as being a leader, making everyone else around me better. I think that's how our team's going to keep getting better. Our inner squads have been super competitive, super fun, very chirpy as well. And Esky always talks about, if you can fight with your brothers, you can play with them and love them. And it's been a big goal of ours this fall and this winter. And yeah, we're looking really good, looking ready to go, and we're counting down the days now for first pitch.
Got about 10 minutes left with the Cardinal. We'll take questions from Eric Sorensen, then College Baseball Weekly, John Puri, and Carson Trail. Go ahead, Eric.
Hey, this question is for Jimmy, actually. Jimmy, I'm driving up here. I'm on a ski trip in Utah, but on the way up, I listened to the Rintaro podcast, and I thought you did a great job on that. Just kind of explain to the rest of these guys, like what you were talking about, the transitioning from a foreign country like Rintaro's doing as well, but of course he's having to learn English. But just even yourself, how difficult it was transitioning from coming from Australia and coming all the way to the States to play college baseball.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's a challenge for sure. It's not easy leaving your family across the other side of the world with the time difference and everything. I've had to become very independent, but Stanford, all the coaches, all the teammates have welcomed me in with loving arms, and I got a family out here now, which is awesome, and I love and appreciate everyone for that. But just a lot of experiences happened over the last 2 or 3 years that has made me who I am today. Obviously, not playing a ton of baseball back home in Australia, it's not huge, but just being able to like play freshman year, I got thrown out there and didn't expect to play as much as I did, but I'm glad I did. Got to experience, got to fail, but I got to learn. That's how I think last year I had that success, and then again having 250 at bats under my belt coming into this year, I feel confident, more confident than ever. But yeah, just a big thing is that experience and being able to be resilient. Because yeah, I've had a lot of failure, a lot of learning process over the last couple years, but that's what it's all about. That's the part of the game. It's what baseball is. You got to be able to come back from it. So yeah, I'd say that's the biggest thing I've learned the last few years.
And what have you done to help Rintaro yourself since you went through that experience? What have you done to help him out?
I've just tried to be a shoulder for him to lean on. He's at first, he was kind of struggling when he first came in. During the spring last year, he had some training with us, and I'd just take him aside and say, "Look, it's not going to be easy the whole time. It's going to come up ups and downs." And I think it took him a little bit to get comfortable, but when he did, he's unbelievable. It's fun to watch. Even at training the other night, like he didn't have his greatest showing, and I kind of just said, "Hey, man, like it's tough. We make training hard so that the game's easy." That's what our coaches like hop on, and he's gonna be very good. And I know he's got a lot of expectations, and I know that's not gonna be the easiest thing for him to handle, and it's not easy for any big prospect to handle. But he's going to be just fine. I guarantee you. And he's going to have a big, bright future ahead of him as well. So I'm excited
All
for him.
right, cool, man. And Matt, for you, since you're the only pitcher here from the team, might as well ask you what's it like to pitch against him, and how tough is it, and what have you seen?
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, we always try to challenge each other. He had his first live appearances the other day, and the goal was really just to see what he can do. I mean, my first at bat, I was like, I'm going to challenge him with three fastballs, kind of see what he can do. And I mean, his at bats, regardless of the result, are just very impressive. It was his first time seeing live in a long time, and whether it's just poking the ball to left field or just he's had a couple home runs. It's very impressive. He's a tough out, and even when he doesn't have the success he wants on the field result wise, it's still a very tough at bat, and it's difficult to get him out.
Great, thanks, you guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll go to College Baseball Weekly.
Coach, how you doing?
Good, good.
Good. Stanford is not new to this. You guys have always had a great program. College World Series appearances 2021, 22, 23. I know you guys are going to the ACC now. Very tough conference, but you guys are used to, obviously tough competition and good competition. But you joked a little earlier about the word gauntlet. What do you think about early in March, going to Chapel Hill one weekend and then going to Durham, the very next weekend? I can't remember which one you go to first, but I mean, you're probably flying to the same airport. But how about that? A weekend series at Duke and then another weekend series, against UNC. I mean, college, World Series contenders, right off the bat.
Yeah, right. I mean, I think, UNC World Series, and then Duke was might have been the super regional a year ago, but certainly in the last 2 years. And again, playoff caliber teams, and we're going to get playoff caliber teams on a weekly basis. But I think we lived that life before in the pack, right? I mean, you got UCLA, USC, Arizona, Arizona State. You're playing quality baseball clubs, night in, night out. I think it'll be interesting to see how, a little West Coast, East Coast, maybe style of play, and see how it meshes and what's different about it. Maybe it's not different at all. Some of the parks that we're going to get a chance to go play at. I know some of our hitters are looking forward to, some of the fences are a little shorter at some of those parks. Maybe that plays to our style even a little better. But we'll see. We're gonna have to pitch and we're gonna have to play defense and certainly we're gonna have to count on our offense to put some runs on the board to support that. But I'm looking forward to it. And again, some of the different destinations that we're gonna go to. I mean, I'm looking forward to eating some of the food in some of the different areas. I tell people I'm a huge can't wait to get to Carolina, and there's a couple places that people recommend we eat there, and then go up to Boston and have some of that Boston cuisine as well. So that's gonna be fun.
Yeah, definitely get you some lobster while you're in Boston and some
Right,
great
right.
barbecue in Carolina for sure, man. And to Matt, I want to ask you, how excited are you? Coach talked about you being Friday night. How excited are you to walk out on the mound, in a Chapel Hill on a Friday night?
I'm very excited. I mean, it's going to be a huge challenge for us. I think we're ready to embrace it going across the country. And, personally, I'm very excited to travel to the East Coast. I'm from the East Coast, so my parents can come to a lot of games. So, I mean, it just means way more for me, kind of being able to throw in front of my friends and family. Like you said, the Boston College series is going to be incredible. I live 2 hours from there. So, I mean, I'm excited to take the field regardless of where we're at, whether we're home or away. And it's just going to mean that much more being able to play in front of my family.
Awesome. And for Jimmy, a couple years ago, it might have been before COVID, I believe when David Pierce was still at Texas, he had a pitcher. He was from Australia. Now, we have seen in college football, a lot of the punters and kickers are coming over and playing college football. Would you say college baseball or baseball has grown in Australia too now?
100%. It's definitely grown. We saw that last year with Trav going number one. That's my best mate. We grew up together playing. The baseball community's grown a ton back home. Just it started super small, super niche community, And then I think people just started to realize, especially with Trav out here and myself and a few others, getting some success out in college baseball, that, like they realize that they can do it and people get a lot more confidence, start setting their goals for themselves. And then, just being out here with a little bit of luck, knowing the right people, coming out to some showcases. It's not easy, but if you really want it, you can do it. And I think that's been one of my goals as well, is to try and pave that way for other players back home in Australia. The more we can get out here, the better. It's been the best last couple years of my life, and it's definitely going to set me up for the rest of my career. And I just want other people, like my little brother as well. He's going to Oregon State in a couple years, so I'm super excited for him and some of my other friends back home about to come over. So yeah, it's pretty cool to see that the sport's growing and expanding.
Yeah, you guys caught me off guard a couple years ago when you were in the World Baseball Classic. I'm like, okay, Australia got some players now. So, Coach, fellas, enjoy those road trips. Good luck in ACC. You guys have always been a phenomenal program. So I know the competition won't be a big deal, but those are some amazing atmospheres down there. Best of luck.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll have time for maybe two more questions. We'll go to John Puri with the Stanford Daily and then finish with Carson Trail.
Yep. Thank you so much. Coach Esker, I just have one question, for the sake of time. You've talked about how you have a wealth of choices when it comes to pitching, when it comes to assembling an infield with so many talented shortstops. My question is, you also have a wealth of players at first base, it seems. You have, of course, Rintaro Sasaki coming up, but also more senior players like Jake Sapien and let's see here. And you have Luke Lavin who can play first base. You have Brandon Larson, of course. So my question is, how are you going to handle kind of choosing who goes in first base? And are one of those players going to be more of a DH regularly? Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's the move, is that if they earn their way into the lineup, that there's a DH role that we can use to get some at bats. And Jake Sapien's played a little outfield as well. So we're trying to find some different options for the best bats to get into the lineup. And you never know what could happen. We play 4-game series. If we need to give Rintaro a day off where he DHs and someone else plays first base to keep somebody ready. And then, so I think we're going to try to be creative to make sure that we can spread some at bats around and for the guys who are deserving. And it certainly could be some of those other first basemen.
Our final question for the Cardinal will come from Carson Trail.
Hey, Coach. So I have a question about one aspect of the game that we haven't really talked about yet, the base running. So how have you kind of seen the team sort of make strides over the past, year plus in the summer and the fall, sort of, possibly being more productive on the bases? Or to what extent do you think that creating havoc, so to speak, is or isn't in store for the team this year as well?
For sure. Yeah, no, absolutely. First of all, our first quest is to try to get them on the base more often. That is that would be helpful. And once they're on the bases, hey, just the little things, right? Being able to go first to third, in advance, ball in the dirt. Can we? It's not all about base stealing. It's just how can we be better base runners in general. And but the biggest aspect I think where we can really help ourselves is, one, getting on the base, and then getting a hit once we're on second and third so they can actually touch home plate. I think those are the two biggest base running keys for us this year. But in and around that, we would like to be, have some guys that can run and steal some bases, make good decisions on the bases as well, which I think comes with experience. Last year, I think we were, maybe subject to a couple mistakes just based on the speed and youth and inexperience of the game. And so we're trying to shore those things up, but I'm still waiting for my first 20 stolen base guy here at Stanford. And but I know in the ACC with some of those parks, I know some of the teams might feel that they're giving up too much by trying to steal a base versus trying to hit one over the fence.
Thank you.
I can pick up on that as well.
Oh, go ahead.
We talk about June 17th. Every practice, we do base running. We got picked off twice in Omaha against Wake Forest and probably cost us the game. So Eski doesn't talk about it, but we do base running almost every practice. We're on the line. So yeah, June 17th, big day for us, and we've been honing in on our base running. So we'll have a 20 bagger this year for sure. I'm hoping
All right. Thank you to Coach Esker, Matt Scott, and Jimmy Nadai, and good luck to the Cardinal as it opens the 2025 season with a 4-game series against Cal State Fullerton.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.